I'll never forget the day when everything changed. I was sitting in the usual spot, that same cafe where I always went when I needed to clear my head. The world was loud, and I felt lost, like I was running but getting nowhere. That's when it happened. An older man, maybe in his 60s, sat down at the table next to mine. His presence was different. Not intimidating, but it felt like he saw me. Really saw me. I tried to brush it off, mind my own business. But then he spoke, and his voice seemed to cut through all the noise around me. "You know," he began, "wisdom cries out in the streets, calling to those who will listen. But not everyone hears her." I looked at him, caught off guard. Was he talking to me? "Wisdom," I echoed, feeling a strange tug in my chest. He nodded slowly. "Yes, wisdom. The kind that leads to life, to purpose, to something more than just existing." He leaned forward, his eyes piercing through the haze of confusion I'd been feeling for weeks. "Do you know what happens to those who ignore her?" I shook my head, not knowing how to respond, but I was hooked. Something about his words felt urgent. "They walk a path that seems right but leads to ruin," he said, his voice low but firm. "Wisdom offers a way out, but so many refuse to listen. They laugh at correction, they despise discipline, and in the end, they're left to their own devices." My pulse quickened. His words hit too close to home, like he knew the inner chaos I'd been battling, the mistakes I kept making, the regrets that weighed heavy on my heart. "But why would anyone ignore wisdom?" I asked, genuinely curious now. The old man sighed deeply. "Because it's easier to follow the crowd, easier to chase after what feels good now rather than what is truly good for your soul. People love their simple ways, but there's a price." His words hung in the air like a warning. "What price?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Calamity," he said, his gaze steady. "When it comes, it will be swift, like a storm you didn't see coming. Those who refuse wisdom will cry out in fear, but by then, it's too late." A chill ran down my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was about more than some old man sharing a parable. It was about me, my choices, the path I was on. I'd always thought I had time to figure it out, to make better decisions, to get serious about my life. But what if time was running out? He must have sensed my unease because his tone softened. "It doesn't have to end that way, you know. Wisdom is still calling, and she'll lead you to safety if you listen. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of those words. Fear of the Lord, wisdom, life. It all suddenly felt so real, so pressing. This wasn't just another day. This was a moment of choice. "What do I do?" I asked, my voice shaking now. He smiled gently, his eyes full of something like hope. "Listen. Seek wisdom. Turn from your ways that lead to nowhere, and you'll find life." And just like that, he got up and left, disappearing into the crowd. I sat there for what felt like hours, his words echoing in my mind. Wisdom is calling, but will I answer? That's the question that haunts me now, and it's one I can't ignore any longer.